Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 50. God, Episode 50. Best drones over $500. I am joined by Mr. Marcus Crawford, and a little bit later, we're going to be joined by Mr. Ron Brown. We're going to talk about best drones over $500. Marcus, how are you, and how is the weather in beautiful Idaho tonight?
Well, I see Dr. B is in the house here, and he'll tell you too. He said right there, 32 degrees in Idaho right now. It was actually a blue sky day today, and it was crystal clear. I went over to Julius Kleiner Park for about a 3-mile walk today, and it was in the high 30s. So. Trust me, you had to dress for it. That was at midday at the warmest part of the day, and I think we'll be in the low 20s or even high teens tonight.
Yeah, we got down to 48 last night, and then from the way things sound, it's probably going to be with us for a few weeks. So welcome to winter in Florida. And one of the things I tell people about winter in Florida is it's very different, not only because of living in Florida, but whenever you say it's like 48, it's really 38 because all the moisture that's in the air, it chills you to the bone. I mean, you need to have a coat. If it's 48 degrees, you got to have a coat outside. Like 48 up north, I could walk outside without a coat. Down here, doesn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not within the realm of possibility. Just an update here. Okay. Probably I was trying to get a video out over the weekend. Okay. And I didn't even share this with you yet, Marcus. We decided for Thanksgiving, considering Valerie and I were just going to spend it by ourselves together at home. Okay. We ordered takeout from Maggiano's. Now, if those of you who are familiar with Maggiano's, they're I'll call it an upscale Italian restaurant chain that's across the United States. They have outstanding food there. Okay. So this is the very first time we've done anything from Maggiano's that wasn't Italian food. Okay. They had turkey, they had ham, and you purchased the big package, and they were supposed to give you a whole pumpkin cheesecake. Okay. Well, it was equivalent to Lucy pulling the football out from under Charlie Brown. Okay. Anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong with this order. Okay. The gravy was like water. The sweet potatoes had no taste at all to them. The sodium level in the turkey and in the ham was enough to send me into dehydration for 2 or 3 days. That's why, hence, no videos over the weekend. I was horrible this weekend. The whole cheesecake we were supposed to get, we got 2 slices. So, but good news is I filled out a customer service form. Their general manager called me back today. She's refunding our entire order back to us. And she said, I know you've had a great, she looked up our records. She said, you've dined with us often. And I said, your regular food, there's never, ever been a problem. And she said she really thanked me for letting them know about this. And that's good customer service. And I think
it is,
and I have to say, and just to translate to our hobby here, okay? If you treat people kindly, you got a 99.9% chance they're going to treat you kindly back, okay? And you may not always get what you want, but a lot of times you will. And in this instance, this is what happened. And I find it that way more often than not with DJI, more often than not, like with Fimi and so forth. So how
Bill, that's what I was just going to say. Ron had an issue with his Mini 2. I had an issue with my Mini 2. It'd be really easy to get all upset and throw up your arms, etc. But DJI's customer service, the point of it is, there was a problem, but they took good care of us, and their communication was really good as well. So that always says a lot to me about a company's intentions and what you hope to, how you hope to resolve something when you can have an issue. In your instance, who knows what the cook was on that shift or something, who knows what happened, right?
Yeah.
But the manager recognized that she had a dissatisfied customer and took care of you. And gee, really, that's all you can ask for.
It's like, And that's the thing, when you do it right, okay, chances are good you're going to get right back. I mean, it's that old, do unto others as you want to have them do unto you kind of a thing, and it works in this instance. It really does. You put it out, you get it back, and everything like that. We're in December now, okay, which I'm seriously, Marcus, I don't know about you. Well, it probably it's starting to feel a lot more like Christmas, okay? Ugh, okay. I hate to say that, okay? It is starting to feel more like Christmas, and with that comes our giveaway here, and that's going to be. I'm still working on it because I had a weekend from Hades, so I'm going to work on it this weekend. We'll probably do something next week with that. We'll have a lot of fun. I promise. Put a lot of smiles on some people's faces. We will have some fun. So that's something to look forward to. I have another video. I'm going to work on it. We'll get it out probably in the next day or two on the Mini 2. I've been working on that. Marcus, one of the first things I wanted to talk about tonight was my favorite feature on the Mini 2. And it's not really hard for me to say what mine is, okay? But you know what? Before I say mine, you got yours back. Let's find out how's your new and improved Mini 2 doing.
Well, to be fair, I've only flown a couple of batteries through it so far, but so far so good. I mean, obviously, that video I put out last week, my last video. Of course, what are you going to do? When you get it back, send that sucker right back over the canyon, and it just performed flawlessly. Now, if you're asking me what is my favorite feature on that drone, I don't. It'd be pretty tough for me to single something out. Now, obviously, gosh, it's just all around because it's 249 grams. That gives you more options. Obviously, OcuSync 2 was a big deal. That zoom was a big deal. 4K was a big deal. I was not unhappy with the range of the original Mini. I love OcuSync 2. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm really glad that they did it, and it gives you a more reliable connection, I guess would be the best way to put that. But I'll be honest with you, even with the Mini 1, I never felt like I didn't have enough range with it. I always felt like it would fly as far as I ever wanted to go with a drone. So OcuSync 2, while it's great to me, I mean, I wasn't, but that 4K camera, the video quality that's coming off of that thing, obviously, why do we fly these GPS camera drones? Is we want to get good pictures and good video, and they really stepped up the game with that Mini 2. The only thing now, obviously, that we have to watch out for that thing is that gimbal dip, and Billy Kyle put out a really nice video on why it does that. And if you are wondering, go over to Billy Kyle's channel and take a look at that, because he put out a phenomenal video on that gimbal dip. Now, the only thing I'll say, he was talking about, because the front of the drone sticks out and the gimbal's down here, he said that they were limiting, as the drone tipped forward, they had the camera go down so you wouldn't see the nose of the drone. But I'm going to say that it also does it when you're flying sideways too, I noticed, in sport mode. So there's probably a little more to it than that. To me, that's a small flaw. It's a flaw, but it's a small one, because really, if you're going to do cinematic stuff, you're going to be in normal mode anyway. Yeah. But it is something that you have to be aware of. But yeah, phenomenal little piece of technology that, DJI just always delivers. They always do.
And here we are. I mean, it's like a year later, okay? And, the scuttlebutt was Frank Wang really wanted 4K on the Mini. He was just like, why didn't we put it on there in the first place? Let's get it on there, kind of a thing. And, Billy always, he's a super sleuth, okay? Here he is, works full time. I know he's insanely busy, okay? But yet he has time to do videos, okay? Billy, where you get the time, I have no idea. I know. He's told me. He said he's just like insanely busy right now, which is a good thing, okay? but being able to find something like this, yeah, I saw it. I saw he put the video out. I didn't watch it yet. I am going to go ahead and watch that. But yeah, you're right. You make a good point. When you're doing cinematic photography, chances are good you're going to be in normal mode, or in maybe I'll still I like calling it tripod too. Okay, you're going to slow things down.
Or in cinema mode, right?
Yes.
Hey, Lauren Donauer just made a comment here that he's saying that it may be addressed in the next update. So
okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing to hear. Yep.
Well, for me, okay, and I will say this, all right, my favorite feature, and I'm like you, it's the whole it's the Mini 2, okay? It's just that's what I have to say. I can't choose just 4K or OcuSync 2.0 or just the zoom. I can't say one. I have to say the whole package. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, Marcus, but a lot of people have said they've weighed their Mini 2s, and it's well under 249 grams.
It's lighter than the original, and the battery. And then the other thing that you hear virtually every reviewer say about the Mini 2 is, and I would used to say the same thing about the Mini 1. When you have it in the air and when you've got it out flying, it feels like a bigger Mavic. You don't feel like you're flying this little piece of paper, as Mikey calls it. It's just this lightweight little drone. You would never know it by the way it handles through the sticks.
Well, the number one question I've gotten over the past week about the Mini 2 is, will it be on sale for Christmas?
Yeah, and I doubt it. They don't need to put it on sale. Why would they?
I said the original Mini, yes.
Yep.
I said it is, and it will be. And I imagine watch for Best Buy, watch on Amazon, watch at B&H Photo, places like that. You'll probably see a kicker deal on it. And they may
include something with it, like include an SD card or something like that. But I wouldn't expect any kind of big deals.
I would not for the Mini 2. No. Because my son-in-law, he's just itching the trigger finger to get a drone right now. And, and he was asking me about the Mini 2. And I told him, I said, to be honest, I said, where you live up in Ohio, and I know where he lives up there, I said, you want to save for a Mavic Air 2. And I'm telling you, I said, the big reason is because of wind. Okay. Because I know starting now through probably April next year, that's the only kind of drone you'll be able, that or a Mavic 2. You won't be able to fly a Mini until next summer, okay? Because it's just too windy up there. It won't work. So, but for most people, it's so funny because it's just like every other day I'm getting a question. Hey, Bill, is a Mini 2 going to be on sale? And I'm just like, it just came out, guys. It's just, one of those kind of things.
Hey, I see Mikey in the chat.
Mikey's in the chat.
Hey, Mikey, I sent you a message. I just bought the official tablet of the Philly and Ron show, an iPad Mini 5, and I'm looking for that little mount that you've got where it has the mid-mounted spot to hook a lanyard to it. So, Mikey, if send me a little text if you know where I can get one of those.
You know what? I think he got it. Believe it or not, we were talking about Etsy before the show. I think he got it off of Etsy.
I think he did too. And I was digging around on Etsy looking for one. Now I can find the mounts that attach on there, and even the ones that have a lanyard attachment. But Mikey's got one that the lanyard attaches in the middle of the controller, and what that does for you is it balances the thing, right? So instead of just dangling straight down, it's right out in front of you.
Well, that's probably a good thing. Now,
and by the way, we should mention that applies now because of this controller with the Mini 2 to both the Mavic Air 2 and the Mini 2. Yeah,
right. That'll work for both. One of the things I wanted to go over here is now there's still a sale with the Evo 2. Okay, this was in the way that Autel framed this is until supplies run out. Now, it is a pretty doggone good sale, Marcus. I'll tell you that. Now, it's on the 8K and on the top tier models is they're having a sale. The one that Ron got is not on sale. But, I mean, it's up, save up to, let me go ahead and share your screen, Bill. All right, here we go. All right, save up to $218. I mean, it's pretty doggone incredible. The Evo 2, the $15.95 instead of $18.13. All right, and that's a bundle. They actually include. They give you a case with this too.
Hey, so I'm curious, Bill. If you click on the Evo 2 Pro, it doesn't show any kind of discount. I'm just curious.
Nope.
Well, so it's showing. Well, but it's got. So this must be a bundle with.
Oh, the Evo 2 Pro is on sale. Okay, and okay, because the Evo 2 and the Evo 2 Pro is on sale. Yeah. It is on sale.
So what? So Bill, that includes an extra battery, and that's not a small thing for that drone because those batteries are $200.
Those batteries are pretty good on this. I mean, I'll tell you what, Marcus, if you had the kind of money, you know, it's like if your pocketbooks were as deep as Mr. Brown's is, so you know, then it would behoove yourself to get one of these. But you know, and I think Ron put it well, and I know he made mention of the fact when we were on last, you know, talked about, you know, you have to understand something. You know, it's not like flying a Mavic 2. Okay, it's going to be slower. Okay, it's going to be, the maneuverability is different. Let me put it to you that way. Okay, people need to understand that. You know, but like Ron said, you know, he had some really strong winds, and that thing was staying rock solid up there. It wasn't going anywhere.
Ron describes it as a tank in the wind, and that totally makes sense. Let me just throw one comment I have out there with regard to spending that kind of money on a drone right now. We're going to know, hopefully this month sometime, what the final remote ID rules are. I'll just be honest with you, Bill. I'm reticent to spend that kind of money on a drone until we really know what we're facing with remote ID.
Oh, I agree 100%, Marcus, because, you know, the whole thing, and this was, your segue was absolutely fantastic because there's been a lot of talk. People are talking about the Mavic 3 again. And you know, I see it and it comes up, and a lot of times it's up in the groups, and I get some messages about it. Hey, Bill, I'm hearing this. Hey, Bill, I'm hearing that. Guys, okay, I'm just going to lay it out as straight as I can, okay? First of all, you know, Ositalev puts out those pictures of, probably it was a prototype of the Mavic 2, and he's trying to get people ramped up and stuff, all right, which was totally bogus and totally nothing to do with anything. And then people are just stirring up the rumor mill again that it's going to be coming out in January, okay? It's not coming out in January, okay? Let me say it again. It's not coming out in January, okay? It's more than likely you're probably going to see it. My guess, it's probably going to be August or September. And the reason for that is remote ID, all right? That's the big thing, okay? Because, you know, apparently, you know, from everything I heard, DJI had a prototype ready to go, ready to get in production, and then remote ID hits. And then the whole thing has to stop because they want to see how they're going to incorporate remote ID into all this. So, guys, you hear anything about the Mavic 3, just, you know, kind of like just push it off to the side, all right? It's not going to happen until mid to maybe third or fourth quarter next year, okay? Just push that off to the side. Not going to happen. Don't save your Christmas money for it, okay? Because you're not gonna see it in January, okay? So just kind of like just push it off there. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention too with the Evo 2 sale is DJI's holiday sale starts on December 13th, and that's through the end of the year. It's the same deals that you got during Black Friday, but they just kind of like waited till this time. But okay. And this is a big but, you know, we're in December here, Marcus, okay? You know, we're still waiting for that Action 2 to come. And, you know, more than likely that DJI FPV is supposed to hit too. So, that's going to have to, I would think from a marketing standpoint, if they're going to do it, they got to come out with that like now. I mean, really. But there's been no teasers, nothing out there about that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
the way I look at it, we got we got some great drones to fly right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not in any hurry to see a Mavic 3. I really am, like all of us am anxious to see what happens with the remote ID rules, because that affects us all. And I think there's even more to it probably than that. So I guess we just kind of hang loose and see what happens. But the other facet to that is, it is interesting, the upgrades that DJI gave us to the Mini, in that, could they be preparing for that? Maybe we'll get some different kind of regs for us, the sub 249 gram. I mean, obviously they're already saying that remote ID won't apply to sub 249 gram. I kind of think that that's where DJI was going with that. They're preparing for that eventuality.
Yeah, I think you're right, because you want to keep the hobby a hobby. Okay, you want to keep, because the majority of us, are hobbyists. Okay, and you want it to stay that way, and especially if you get like a 15-year-old getting it for Christmas, and you don't want to make it too complex. You want to make it easy for them. And I think that's where DJI is going, and that's a very smart direction, because, while less is always better, but, smaller is sometimes better than bigger. And in this instance, I think that's correct. And for the most part, it's done better in the wind. I've noticed the Mini 2 better in the wind that I've had it up in. I haven't done a wind test yet, and I'm waiting for a proper day, get some moderate winds up there to test it, to see how it is. So I'm kind of like hanging around for that, waiting for that to happen. But one of the things I wanted to say with remote ID, once it's finalized, once there's a decision, once there's a direction on it, Brendan told me after I had him on that we're going to have him back on the show, and I'd love to have you and Ron join me with that, because I think that's going to be a very interesting hour, because he is just, he knows everything. He is the SME of this, all right, backwards and forwards and sideways. And it was just a fascinating hour with him, and I'm anxious to get him back on. He does want to come back on, and I think it'll be something I think that everybody needs to watch and pay attention to, because, it's going to be done. I'm going to say this, okay? I don't know what the final thing is going to be, but I will say this, okay? I believe it's not going to be as bad as we thought it was going to be. Is there going to be costs associated with it? Yeah, there's going to be costs, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as we thought. And I actually think that it will have some benefits to it, so to speak. So,
well, so yeah, I mean, that's what I've been saying and hoping for too. I don't really have any evidence of it, but like other than that video that XJet put out where he shows the FAA administrator talking about that, he basically said on that video that potentially FPV flyers flying under 100 feet don't have anything. They won't even have anything to worry about. And then he alluded to that hobbyists under 300 feet wouldn't be required to have remote ID. So, but the thing is, there's nothing real there for sure until we see what that rule is. So hopefully we see something there, and maybe even get some clarification on some of the other regulations, because there's so much when you start looking into all the drone rules and regs. There's so much of it that is so ambiguous and so subject to interpretation. So let's hope that we get some clarification.
I'm sure we will, and that's why I want to get Brandon on it, because I think he'll be able to provide a lot of that for us. And what's great is he talks at us. He doesn't talk over us. And I really, after the show was over, I told him, I said, I really appreciate, your communication, because, it's so valuable and it's so good, and so many people, Marcus, and it's kind of like, when it was at its height and everything, so many people took the wrong approach to this, and it's like Chicken Little, the sky's falling. We'll never be able to fly again. I need to sell all my drones. Don't take that approach. Okay. Wait and see. Okay. Because let me put you this way. DJI's in it to win. In other words, okay, it's beneficial that it works for them, especially considering they're the largest consumer drone manufacturer in the world. Okay. They want this to work. They want it to go the right way. So it will. Okay. And you haven't heard any of these super strong objections or anything. We'll see what happens, and it should be coming out shortly. So, all right, now for the main topic tonight. I wish I had a ding 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 here kind of a thing. Okay, best drones over 500. You can guess what's probably going to be coming up next week. But anyway, okay, for consumer drones, okay, we're gonna look at Mavic Air 2. We're gonna look at the Mavic 2 series. We're gonna look at the Autel Evo 2. And then we're going to look at the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. I'm not considering the Inspire 2, because I think that's in a kind of a class by itself, or drones that have not come out yet. Okay. Also, I'm going to throw in the mix, and I'm going to throw Skydio in there, because I want to get this in the mix here. Okay. Because I know a lot of people ask, is that a drone that I should consider? So we're going to start out with the Mavic Air 2, Marcus. Okay. For the price point for that drone, I know both the three of us, Ron too, it's kind of a no-brainer at that kind of a price point for what you get.
Well, I can say this, that so far the Mavic Air 2 has been the clear winner in the best drone of 2020 poll that Ron posted for us on Drone Nation.
Yeah, I saw that, and I could say that too.
So the Mavic Air 2, everybody knows, everything that it brought to the table, and what's interesting about it is that there are a few aspects of it that even exceed the Mavic 2 Pro. Although, if you are serious about video and about photography, you still have to say the Mavic 2 Pro has a better camera, etc. The difference, as I understand it, and I'd like Lauren to maybe ring in on this, what's holding back the Mavic 2 Pro, as I understand it, and of course the Mavic 2 Zoom for that matter, is the processor. Some of the newer drones have, including the Mavic Air 2, have better processing power, but you cannot, there's no substitute for that 1-inch sensor that you get on the Mavic 2 Pro, and you're just going to get phenomenal video and phenomenal pictures. Low light aside, it's still going to, especially shine in low light, but even other than that big sensor and on that is going to, and so Lauren is saying that's correct. So
yeah, and I agree with that. Well, look who is getting ready to join us. Mr. Ron Braun, welcome tonight. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing well. It's a little bit cold here in South Jersey, but I've got the hoodie on tonight, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. I heard Marcus talking about the Mavic Air 2 drone, which I believe is the #1 drone in the Drone Nation Drone of the Year contest. Have you heard about this fantastic contest, Bill?
Yes, I did. I actually participated in it.
Oh, you're a voter.
I voted. Oh, yeah. Mavic Air 2 all the way.
Bill, I'm throwing this to you on the air, so I know this is kind of rough because if you don't want to do it, put pressure in. But if you don't want to do it, just don't want to do it, but maybe on you can pick one of your build a drone reviewer, and maybe you could do the same poll or whatever, and we can kind of combine results or whatever, because there may be people in your group that don't belong to our group, and they don't even know about our group, and we can kind of poll our results, or maybe you could cast an electoral vote.
You hold it right there, Ron. Now, I go over and vote in Bill's. Is that constituting a double vote then?
We can't have voter fraud here, guys. No way. That's not going to happen. Okay. we run a clean election on Drone Nation and on Build a Drone Reviewer. Always clean elections. Okay.
Don't worry, Marcus. Johnny Drone Flyer is in charge of counting all the ballots.
Oh yeah,
we'll be fine there.
Make sure it's a good, clean election.
We'll be fine with that.
So what you're saying is Johnny Drone Flyer is our canvasser.
Nah.
He is. And Bill, if we can't turn things around, voter fraud won't mean much in this election, because you've heard about runaways in political contests. Well, the Mavic Air 2 is on a bit of a runaway right now. In fact, if anybody out there would like to come on the air, if they feel bad about coming on the air, maybe just make a video we can play. If you could be what do you call somebody that speaks up for somebody? Like somebody that could speak up for somebody. Advocate.
Yes, an advocate. Yeah.
And somebody can be an advocate for some of the drones that aren't doing well. Like Bill, maybe you'd be a perfect one to do for the Fimi X8 2020. It's kind of lacking in votes, and it needs somebody to give that little push that people remember how good.
I'll give it a push, all right. Last time, I was ready to give it a push into the lake last time. I'll tell you that. I was so, it's like, okay, I go through all that to send it back, to get a new one, okay? First flight, I take it up, okay? And I'm going my end of the lake, it's fine. Then I decide, okay, here's what I decided to do. All right, I decided, you know what? Everybody says, you should probably go up to at least 400 feet to test it, okay? You'll probably be fine up there. I get up to 400 feet. I'm about 1,300 feet out. Boom, I get the message, returning to home. I'm like, you son of a gun, okay?
It's like, I thought you were going to cuss there for a second.
I was ready to, trust me, okay? that Fimi is like a sore spot with me right now. It's like having that proverbial pin in my side, all right? I'm not, it's been sitting for a while, and it's been sitting with good reason, because I'm mad at it right now. I don't want to fly.
Bill, I'll withdraw you advocating for it then. And I think it's a good question, Bill. In these times now that the Mini 2 is out, and the Mini 2 now has that better wind resistance, what is the why would you recommend either the Xeno 2 or the Fimi X8 2020 over the much improved in the wind Mini 2 drone right now, Bill?
Oh, I would recommend the Mini 2 before either one of those two. Seriously.
Because the wind was holding. I know the wind was holding you and us back on recommending the Mini 1 for people that had the battle of the wind. But in my experience with the Mini 2, it can. I'm not saying it can handle as much as the Xeno 2 or the Fimi X8, but it can handle enough.
Well, who's the guy that had it out in extreme wind? What's his? You guys told me about the video, and I watched it.
DC Rainmaker.
Rainmaker. Okay. No, that was crazy.
He could barely control the thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, that was like no. You don't go doing that kind of stuff with any kind of drone, let alone a Mini 2. That was just, he was lucky with a capital L.
And what just explained, if everybody saw the video, that wasn't a normal situation we're talking about here. This is something 99% of people will not try at home.
Yeah, you're not going to do this. It was just, ludicrous. I mean, it just totally ridiculous, totally off the charts. You'd never really see anybody do something like that.
Now, we're not slamming this video. It's kind of fun to watch, but it's not. It's not a real life scenario.
Yeah, it's not going to. Go ahead, Marcus.
Can I go off topic for just a second?
Go for it.
I watched a video just before the show for one of our fellow drone flyers. Ted Bowman posted a video on a different part of the Snake River than I fly at, a place called Thousand Springs. And it was a fascinating video to me because it's just a different spot, and there was some really cool stuff. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't checked out Ted's channel, you need to do it. Go over there and subscribe and check out that video because it was really good.
If you can't find a video, it's posted in Drone Nation.
There you go. Yeah.
Find it in Drone Nation near the top.
Yep. Or
All right.
I think he did it with the Mavic Air 2, so you could post it on Bill's Mavic Air 2 channel as well.
Yes. All right. Now, Ron, okay, Marcus kind of had his take on the Mavic Air 2. What's your take on the Mavic Air 2?
Well, I'm still waiting to hear. I mean, I've known DJI has. They've confirmed that they received it, but as far as I know, they're still doing their investigative report on it. So I don't know, what if they come to any conclusions. I know I kind of hit the holiday weekend here last weekend, so I imagine there were some days when people weren't working. But regardless of my experience with it, highly recommend it for the price point. As I said before, it's going to be hard to tell anybody to get the Xeno 2 or the Fimi X8 over just because the camera is so far and above superior to what those other two drones offer. Even those drones offer, wind resistance that's a little better, and well, they won't offer ranges any better. But even if they have a few other little perks, the camera difference is hands down. It's just a knockdown. And the only reason that I don't talk about the Air 2, the Mini 2 more, is the Air 2, which is the next step on the DJI food chain. For just I don't know, for I hate to say a little more, but for not a whole lot more, you even get twice the drone for a little bit more. So I'm still, if my recommendation, if you don't have a drone at all and you have $400 or $500 to buy the Mini 2, wait another month or two before you can save up a little bit more money and go for the Air 2. But if $400 or $500 is your maximum price point you could spend, you can't go wrong with the Mini 2. Bill, is that reasonable?
Exactly, Ron. And I was talking to my son-in-law because he's got an itchy trigger finger and wanting to get a drone. And I told him, and I was just sharing with Marcus. I said, do yourself a favor. I said, the Mini 2 is a great drone, but you live in Ohio, okay? And I know right now in Ohio, from now until probably next April or even May, I said you won't be able to fly it because it's going to be too windy, okay? You want to get an Air 2. You want to save another extra couple of $100. It'll be worth it. Trust me. I told him because I talked to him last weekend. I said you will do yourself a great favor if you do that. Okay. And
if it's too windy to fly the Air 2, well, you probably shouldn't be out flying anyways at that point.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. And tell him if he wants portability, tell him that the case is exactly the same thing. If he's traveling with it, even just traveling to the park or traveling down to see you in Florida, the amount of stuff he can put in the case, it doesn't take up any more room in his suitcase or his backpack. The Mini 2 does. The only thing the Mini 2 brings to the table, if at 249 gram thing, whatever, if that's out of the equation, doesn't mean anything to you. Like if you're willing to put your a number on or whatever, if you can afford those couple extra shekels, get the Air 2 because it's still much better. Marcus, go ahead.
I've said it before. Well, no, I just wanted to expand on what you were saying, Ron. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If tomorrow somebody came up to me and said, well, you can only have one drone, I don't even have to think about it. It would be that Mavic Air 2. You guys know how much I love my drones, and there's something cool about all of them that I always talk about and like. But if I could only have one, and because it's going to be an all-around product and you're going to use it for all kinds of different things, no question, that Mavic Air 2.
Hey, Bill, speak about the Mini. We've heard rumors in the past couple of weeks that light in front of the Mini, that was originally intended to be an optical avoidance sensor in the front, and that's why the Mini 2 only weighs like 42 grams, because when they didn't include that in, it kept the weight down. But also, I've heard this too, that in the people that had the what do you call it, the DNA models and whatever, that at that point they had you could change the color profile to the Cinelike in that. So that was removed too.
Oh, wow.
And this is just pure rumor. I can't confirm this. I don't know if it's true. Just rumors you hear that Cinelike, if you added the Cinelike in the Mini 3 and that front obstacle avoidance sensor, that would move it up a little bit of a notch, wouldn't it, Bill?
Yeah. Well, Lauren just said that wasn't true.
I said just rumor. I wasn't stating that as fact.
Just a rumor. So, but the big thing, and somebody just posed a real good question, because the next step up that I want to talk about just for a minute on drones, best drones over $500, is the Mavic 2 series. And I think Brad Hendo asked, he said, is the camera on the Mavic 2 zoom better than the camera on the Mavic Air 2. Okay. Now, there's only one person here that can probably answer that question for us because he has a Mavic 2 zoom. Marcus, what do you say on that?
I don't have a Mavic 2 zoom, Bill.
Gone.
Yeah, I sold it. But I will say, no, the Mavic 2 zoom, if your primary objective with your drone is zoom video, of course the Mavic 2 zoom, because it's optical zoom. It is not any kind of form of digital zoom or lossless digital and all that they talk about. It's the actual lens of the camera zooming in, and so it's going to give you a better quality.
Marcus, wasn't that the best zoom on any consumer drone ever made? I mean, we're talking consumer. We're not talking.
Yeah, exactly. To my knowledge, Ron, it is. In fact, I'm trying to think of, are there other ones that actually have a true optical zoom? I can't think of it.
I don't know. We know some drones that have lossless zoom in their first couple stops, which is, kind of the equivalent of whatever.
Well, I kind of put it in the middle between pure, just digital, pure. And so we need to explain that, don't we, guys? Because when we're talking about zoom, for instance, on the Mavic Air 2 or on the Mini, all they're doing is cropping that video in for that zoom. You're just cropping in on the sensor. Now, it looks damn good because DJI puts such damn good sensors in there.
There's so many pixels in there that they can crop it in and not lose any quality, whatever. That's basically the poor man's version trying to explain lossless zoom to you. That it's so much information there to work with that you don't lose anything, at least on a stop or two. But once you go beyond that, then you do see an erosion because there's not enough data at that point.
Brad Hendo is saying that the Parrot drone is optical, and I can tell you, no, it is not. The Anafi is
lossless.
So what Ron was talking about, lossless digital zoom. Now,
it may have a little bit more lossless zoom than even the Air 2 or the Mini 2. I'm just kind of saying that, not really having the specs to it, but I think it may have a little bit more lossless zoom. But
oh, go ahead.
No. What I was going to say was, right now, as far as the Mavic 2 series, and Ron would probably agree with me, there's only one to get, and it's the Mavic 2 Pro. And, it's like, and I know I sold Ron his Mavic 2 Pro when we were at the beach together, and he saw, me filming that sunset, and I think his jaw hit the sand when he saw that, because
and it's still maybe the best drone out there.
It's just, and now, with, if you price it right, maybe not necessarily with DJI, but some of the other ones, maybe Adorama or B&H or Amazon or one of those things for Christmas, I know, or Best Buy, you could probably combine it and get a great deal on it right now.
So let me qualify that and say, cost is no object. I'm going out to buy a prosumer drone right now. With all due respect to Autel, for me, the choice would be clear, and that would be that Mavic 2 Pro. It's a proven product, and it's got that Hasselblad camera with that.
And for Marcus, it would be a sure thing, because the advanced flight things. What's the? I never get these words right.
Well,
the modes that Marcus like to. The modes in the Mavic 2 Pro or any Mavic 2 are so much more sophisticated than the same modes in the Autel drone. They're just not there yet. I mean, as far as the camera quality, again, I don't want to pick a winner yet. Sometimes the Evo 2 will look better than the Mavic 2 Pro, and sometimes it won't. It all depends on lighting and so on. So it's not like a winner take all thing there. But as far as the advanced flying features and everything, things like hyperlapse and stuff like that, unless I'm not doing it right, and I'm still a newbie to the Evo 2, it's much more of a pleasurable experience using the Mavic 2. Yeah, I know somebody's going to say, well, you could do this, that, and it'll be just good in the Autel. But with the Mavic 2 Pro, it's much easier, especially just get started. To answer Bill's question real fast, on which camera is better, the zoom or the Air 2, and I haven't owned the Zoom, but just on specs alone, and specs aren't always the end all, but the Air 2 is the quad bear sensor, which is a considerably bigger sensor than what the Zoom had in it or whatever. So that, again, there's more information to work with in the quad bear. And it's the same size sensor that the Evo 2 standard has, so I think they're the only two drones right now that have that nice quad bear, where the Zoom had that smaller, like 1/2/3 sensor that we see a lot of other drones have. A pretty standard sensor, yeah.
Yeah.
And no knock on that sensor. You guys saw my low light test of the Mini 2 the other day. I mean, like, that was incredible that at low light that small of a camera sensor did that well in the low light. I mean, if you zoomed all in, you'd probably see some digital noise. But I mean, it for the price and the sensor size, I thought it did extremely well.
Well, I have to say this. It was a year ago that I did a test. We had a pink sunset. I mean, it was just absolutely brilliant. I did the same thing, but this was with the Mini 1, and it was just the low light on it. It just blew me away, guys, because of being able to capture something like that. That was just phenomenal. Now, with your Evo 2, and I've talked to Ken a little bit about this. He thinks one of the things that Autel does is they mess with their color palette. Okay. Because if you look at the color palette on like on an Evo 2 and compare it to, say, like a Mavic 2 kind of thing, your colors are so much. I mean, they burst on an Evo, okay, where you have to kind of fine tune them with a Mavic 2. But okay, conversely, I think the resolution is sharper. I'm not talking comparing 6K, 4K, all that kind of stuff. I think the resolution is a little bit sharper on the Mavic 2. That's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, I mean, the color profile is definitely different on the Evo 2 Pro. You're right about that. I'm not saying different's better or worse, whatever. It's just different, and I've still learned to dial in my white balance and colors to get them exactly the way I want them, where I know what I have to do on the Mavic 2 Pro because I've had more experience with that.
Hey, so Ron, you're bringing up the Evo 2, and Bill kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. We were talking about how the drone flies and how it handles. Are you feeling more confident with that drone and feeling pretty good on the sticks with it now?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I still haven't done the stick calibration on it yet. And maybe that's the only issue I have with it. It doesn't fly quite as straight as my DJI drones do, whatever, but that could be my fault, just being too lazy to do the stick calibration. But I once you fly it enough, you learn to kind of compensate that or whatever. So, but otherwise, I've flown so many different drones, all the way from toy grade to all the way up that, a lot of people only fly DJIs, so it's hard for them to fly anything else, where I've moved around a lot or whatever. So it's not that hard of an adjustment for me.
So one more question about that. So one of the things that we love about our DJI drones is the precision, right? I mean,
right.
I just try and think of whatever other drone I fly, that when I know I want to put it in a certain spot, I know I can do it with the DJI drone. Is that kind of similar with the Evo?
Yeah, I would say so. Once you've got a couple flights in your belt, it's going to perform. The thing, the big thing I could say about the Evo 2, and it's such a tank in the air that it does not that the Mavic 2 series gets moved around by the wind, but I've seen them be pushed by the wind. Where the Evo 2 is just like a tank up there. It only moves when you hit the stick. It doesn't get pushed to wind. When you fly into the wind, you don't see the gimbal tilt down. Even on my Mavic 2, after all the updates, if I fly into a strong wind, I can that gimbal tilt down to the ground on me. You don't see that in the Evo 2. Its gimbal's bigger, its camera's bigger, everything's bigger on it. So I mean, you sacrifice, you gain a little size, so it's definitely not as compact as the Mavic 2 series or especially the Air. But yeah, I don't have any confidence problems at all. Return to home's great. It's got more obstacle avoidance sensors, and they make more noise than the DJI ones. So I don't know if that's good or bad or whatever, but yeah.
Well, the last drone, and then we'll continue the discussion. The last one I wanted to talk about for this over 500. It's the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. It is on sale, which is, I think it was like $80 off for it, which, I mean, anytime you get something like that off a drone from DJI, you should probably take notice. And, and I know there's been quite a few people that have been actually got out there and bought some of them, which I find very interesting because, it's really end of life. Okay. It's really, this is it. Okay. There's not going to be, as Marcus and I were talking about, there's a future and a direction for DJI. It's small, it's portable, it's lightweight. It's trying to keep, maybe under 249 grams, or, the Mavic 2 size kind of a things. You're not going to see the bigger ones anymore because portability is such a key with all that.
Hey, Bill, can I ask you a question about that? So,
yeah,
mapping aside, I know that mechanical shutter is important if you're doing mapping, commercial work and stuff. But other than that feature, when you fly your V2.0, what is the thing about it that you like the best? Is it the video quality from the sensor on that thing? Is it the way it flies? I know you have greater movement of the gimbal on the Phantom, just simply because it's a bigger drone.
And before Billy answers, I'll say real quick on the Phantom 4 series drones, you didn't see the wind pushing that gimbal down either. You could fly straight to the wind, and your gimbal stayed level; it didn't get pushed downwards.
Well, it to me, okay, it's the truest of any drone that I fly. And what I mean by true, it's like it does, when I'm moving that stick, it goes exactly where I point that stick. Okay. I will say this, like the Mavic 2 Pro, the other ones, okay, they're good, but this is about as good as it gets as far as being true to the path and flying like it's supposed to fly. I mean, it does not deviate at all. I think personally, it's the best drone in the wind. Okay. Because I've had it up there in 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it moved around. But okay, the thing was, while it was moving around, as I did a wind test up there, because it was a windy day, those motors were compensating like crazy. I mean, I could hear it. It was about 100 feet in the air, and I could hear those motors compensating like crazy. And what I looked at was, I saw it, how it was, but you looked at how, DJI has planned for things like that. I was looking at the feed, on my screen, and it was steady. There was no jiggling, no nothing. I mean, it was rock steady. So that, and, the other thing, that picture quality from that, like, that 4K, even 30 or 60 frames per second. Okay. I'll match that with anything, even the Mavic 2 at times. Okay. It's just rock solid. There's only one thing that I absolutely, and it's something you got to adjust and fly right in order not to do it. It's those damn pardon my language, those damn props in the shots. Okay. Because if you get, and I found out the threshold for it. Okay. It's right around 17.5 miles an hour. Okay. If you exceed 17.5 miles an hour, you're going to get props in the shots. Okay. Now that's on a non-windy day. If it's windy, all bets are off. But that's why I always keep it to about 15 miles an hour when I'm going out and I'm trying to get some good cinematic video. Because if I push it past, then I'll get props in the shots, and it's just like, ugh, And then,
yeah.
The other thing is pulling back on the stick. But go ahead.
As far as getting props in your shot, ND filters are your friend. Sometimes it's not actually the props, it's the props reflection, because you have to go such a direction to the sun. And sometimes ND filters can really help you reduce that, the props in the shot. Not always, but, they definitely can help in the right situation.
That's a good point. And
especially this time of year with the sun so low. And
the Marcus is like low winter sun. Yep. And I on this reference, with the day it's got the Evo 2 Pro, and he said he flies it most of the time now for his pro job. He's a Part 107, but he said he had a customer request the Phantom 4 Pro, which the same camera as the V2, and he said he flew because the customer liked the color profile on the Phantom 4 Pro, whatever series. So he flew that because the customer requested it. So some people do know and love that color profile.
Yeah, see and I gotta say this. well, what I did was I kind of did a test video for myself, and I'm probably going to go out there and publish it because I really like it now. And I took 4 of my drones, okay, and I split the clips into quarters, okay, and looked at them all on the screen, okay, and includes the Mavic 2, all right. By far and away, the best video on all of that, because I did it at the same time. I flew all my drones at the same time. By far and away, the best video, it was during the day, was the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. It really was. It just, the color on it was just, it was the most, I'm going to say this, the way it is from the factory, and this is not messing with anything and no ND filters, the way it is from the factory is probably the truest of real world than any other DJI drone that I've had, okay? Because I've had to go in, like with the original Mini, the Mini 2, the Air 2, the Mavic 2 Pro, I've got to tweak it a little bit, okay? But I did not have to do that with this drone. It really just, it's very true to what real world is for me.
And you said it's on the Black Friday sale.
Yeah, it's on the Black Friday sale. I think it's 80
right now. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a consideration, especially for Part 107 people that are doing most of their work locally, you know, with a short drive. Yeah. You know, if you're putting it in the trunk of your car or the hatch of your SUV or whatever, what do you care about the size of it? If it's you know, car, size at that point. But if you have to get on a bus, train, airport, or whatever, then size matters.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's the best example, you know, and I hate to pick on Billy. I really like Billy, but do you remember that time he went up to Michigan and he's out on a snowmobile? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then the snowmobile, the pack goes and then boom. Okay. And it's just like, oh, I messaged Billy after that. I said, dude, I said, I am so sorry, man. And he's like, well, you know, I think that was before the Mavic 2 series came out. So, you know, that was his go-to drone. And, you know, lugging that thing around when you're local.
Remember he taped the arm together or whatever, and he had it all kind of looking like, you know, bad for a while.
I just had to laugh when I saw duct tape on it. I was just like, wow.
And Bill, I maybe remember this one, but I think he did have his Mavic 1 by then. But remember, he much preferred the camera on the 2 Pro over the Mavic 1. So even though he had the smaller compact drone, he would still take the bigger Phantom on the road trips because he much preferred the camera. And he was right. I mean, like the Mavic 1's camera was no better than the Phantom 4 Standards camera. Maybe not good, and especially at first. It was out maybe 6 months to a year. They did a big firmware update to the Mavic 1 about 6 months to a year after its release, and they much improved the camera quality. I don't know, maybe they increased the bit rate or something like that, but they improved it. But that, you know, when it first came out, the camera quality was no better than the Phantom 4 Standard, maybe less.
Probably right, Ron. I agree with you. And, you know, just you know, for me, you know, it would be a drone. I would always recommend it. Okay. And it's just like one of those things, you know, I'll probably leave it in my will to my kids. Okay. It's just like, you know, it's one of those things. I'm going to be really very hard pressed to sell that drone. It's just one of those things I'm probably not going to part with. I mean, it's just like, you know, there's just some things in life you don't go. Well, what's real interesting because, you know, we've been cleaning and getting rid of a lot of stuff. And, you know, I told Valerie, I says, if I haven't used it in a year, I'm going to pitch it and kind of stuff. And then she put all this stuff out in the hall for me. She says, this was out in the garage. You need to go through it. And I'm just like, you know, it's just like, oh, don't do that to me. That's one of the worst things in the world, having a part with stuff. Okay. You know, it's just like, but there's some things that aren't going to get parted. Okay. And that's one of them. That's not going But that Fimi right now.
The Fimi may get parted with, huh?
If somebody gave me a nice offer for that Fimi, it might be in the mail tomorrow. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that's boy.
Sure.
So we can count on you not cast a vote for the Fimi X8 as drone of the year.
Probably not, Ron, and definitely the Xeno 2. Now I know Marcus has been swayed a little bit by some of his later, you know, musings with the Xeno 2. So, you know, I'll keep an open mind about it. Okay. I'll keep an open mind about the Xeno.
Can I expand on that a little bit, Bill?
Yes, please
You
do.
know, and with the three of us are all the same. We love trying those different drones out and doing some different things. But what I always get back to is I'll fly the Fimi or I'll fly the Xeno 2 or whatever, and you always find idiosyncrasies and things that just, man, they make you grind your teeth and darn it, if it just would do this better, I would be, it'd be a good, awesome. Well, then you get out your Mavic Air 2 or your Mavic Mini or your Mini 2, and it flies. It just does everything that they say it's going to do. It flies awesome. So I just always want to throw that out there. I like those other drones. There's things about them that I like, but they know nothing yet. And I hate to say this. This even includes the Skydio. They don't quite come up to the standard that DJI does. And when I'm talking about the Skydio, I'm talking about the precision of the controls just aren't there. When you're flying it with the controller, right? It's just not the same. And it doesn't have the range either.
And I think Marcus agreed with me here. And part of the thing is DJI is moving faster than their competition is. When the Xeno 1 first appeared, almost over 2 years ago now, it appeared in a market where everybody knew the Spark was end of life. The Mavic Air 2 cost $900, and here comes this little Xeno costing what? Like we got it for around $300. And there was nothing that could touch it in its price class, whatever. Again, we knew the Spark was end of life at that point or whatever. So I'm not even throwing the Spark in there. And the Mavic Air 1 was so far above it in price that it's not even in the same ballpark or whatever. It kind of had a place. But the Xeno 2 and the Fimi X8 that came out afterwards, they kind of moved up in the price thing. And then DJI introduced new great drones in kind of almost the same price range. And the Hubsons and Fimis haven't taken that next leap to get back up again.
Yeah,
they're stagnant right now. They need to take that next leap up or whatever, and so they let DJI kind of like, they caught up a little bit in the lower price category, but then they just didn't get passed by a little bit. They got like, what do you call it when somebody really passes you?
It's like a big, let me say this, and I'll apply this both to the Xeno 2 and the Fimi, okay? They're leaps and bounds from what they were, let's say, 3 years ago, okay? I think they've done, on both, okay? I think their quality is better. I have to say this, as far as both of the apps are concerned, I'm pretty impressed with the apps, okay? Definitely that Fimi controller is fantastic. I really like it. It's one of my favorite features of it. There's a lot that work well with both of those, okay? But like you said, Ron, and I think this is the key, okay? They need to take the next step, okay? They need to spend some capital. They need to invest, okay? Because, for example, like with the Fimi, all right? It's like that gosh darn, stupid interference I get all the time. And I'm not the only one. You go out on the groups, that's the thing. The Xeno 2 with your lens flare issue, okay? That's something hard.
Another way, Bill, we end up being beta testers for those companies.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. You're exactly right. I mean, that's why, they put these out there, and we're the ones, we're the guinea pigs, okay? We go out there and we go through all this, and it's just like, and I'll say this for the three of us and probably most of the people in the chat, our expectation, DJI sets the bar up here, okay? It's all the way at the top, okay? And, it's going to be hard to pass that, and I understand that. But you know what? I'd really kind of like to see, Fimi and Hubson, get about here. They're not up here, but at least get up there, get to where, when you put out like software update, like the Follow Me and the Track Me on the Fimi, okay, not to have a hit or miss every other time kind of a thing. With the Hubson Xeno 2, the lens flare, to look at your quality control procedures before you put out a product like that. I mean, that's an obvious catch. That's an easy catch in quality control procedures that Hubson missed. I mean, that should have been caught early on. Instead, they mass produce the thing and oops, kind of a thing. So,
they had a niche. They had a price niche. And since the Mini 2 came out, as Ron eloquently stated earlier, that's gone. Right.
Yeah. It's gone. I mean, the Mini 2 has just, the Mini 2's bar is up here. I mean, it's beyond the top of the screen. Okay.
Yeah, for a similar price.
For a similar price. Okay. Right. They can't do it. But what they need to look at is this. Okay. If they want to have people coming back to buy their drones, all right, they need to step the bar up. They need to put some more money in R&D and in quality control. They do those two things. They put a little bit more money into some research and development and into some quality control procedures, okay? They're going to crank out some decent products, okay? For example, okay, you were telling me, like with the original Xeno, the firmware update on that, I was like pulling my hair out. I was like, oh, God, it was one of those things. You look at it, and it's like one of those flow charts that goes all over the place, kind of a thing.
It was definitely a hobbyist drone more than a consumer drone.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good way to describe it.
It really is. And people need. I think, Ron, that's a great point. People need to realize, when you're looking at a Fimi or a Hubsan, you're not. It's not a prosumer type of drone. It's a consumer type of drone. Okay, and it's more of a hobbyist type of drone than anything. Okay, it will help get your feet wet. Really get your feet wet and get you acclimated with things. So,
right, but you got to kind of get your hands dirty with those drones, with the updates and the issues or whatever, So,
you got to.
I'd settle for a flat horizon. I've been flying those Fimi X8s for a couple of years now.
Yeah, and a lot of fans to settle for a nice steady liftoff.
Well, here for me, I don't have the horizon tilt. I don't have any problems with that. It's that darn interference for me. For the Fimi.
Do enough firmware updates, Bill, and you'll probably see it again.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure I will. Guys, closing statements for tonight. Marcus.
Well, you know what? If you've got some decent weather, get out there and fly what you got and have fun. At least here in the more northern climes, snow will be here before you know it, and you probably won't be able to fly on some of those days. So get out and fly and have fun.
Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, and I echo that. The good days are coming to an end where I live also, and we're already in December period, so we've probably seen all the good drones we're going to see for the year, unless DJI slips that FPV drone out the door at the last minute. But we've kind of got all our stuff. So now's the time to reflect back on the drones that did come out the past year. And if you didn't get the drone you really wanted, maybe treat yourself to it for Christmas, or if you already have it, get out and enjoy it, as much as you can. Now, Bill lives in sunny Florida, though I heard you had a little cold snap down there, Bill.
Yeah, it's down to 48, which really means it's 38, and it's going to be like that for the next couple of weeks. So it's like doggone it, I got to put the shorts away and start getting jeans out now. And
yeah, but don't cry for Bill. He's got that Pittsburgh blood in him. So that for Bill, this is a nice spring. That's a nice spring day. That weather you just said, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and here's the thing, Ron. It's like when you're down here when winter hits, it's like that moisture in that air. It feels colder. So it's like when it's 48 outside, it really feels like 38. I mean, it really kind of, you got to dress appropriately for that. So it's like got to get long sleeves out now and jeans and all that. Like,
So fly when you can. And real quick before I throw this back to Bill, before the end of the year, let's do a show where we kind of like, we've kind of wrapped up 2020 pretty good here, and we're having our contest or whatever. But let's do a show where we look forward to 2021. I know we're all looking forward to the Mavic 3 or whatever. That's a no-brainer. We were looking for it last year. But what besides the Mavic 3 are we looking forward to 2021?
I'm answering your question, Ron.
Nah.
He's looking for the Action 2.
You're right.
That's right. The Action 2 is coming.
But drone-wise, what are we looking forward to in 2021 besides the Mavic 3?
We'll probably do that as a wrap-up show for the year. I think that would be a great show. And I think we get a lot of interesting comments on that one because and hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about remote ID and kind of get that going. So, and I was telling Marcus, I'm going to have Brendan on again, when remote ID gets finalized, so he can go over it in detail with us. And you know what I like about him? He talks right here. He talks right at us. He doesn't talk over us, which he can easily do because he's extremely intelligent.
Well,
so.
when you have the schedule to come on, maybe you could do a thing with a survey where you could ask people to give you questions that they want to hear answers. You could pick the most popular questions out, maybe the most popular questions out, and address it to him. So when we do a show about it, kind of the answers that most people are looking for have already been answered by somebody that has more knowledge than we do.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. So, maybe ahead of time I can get a bunch of those questions in and we can pick them out, and I think that'd be fantastic.
Great job.
I want to thank great chat tonight, guys. This was a great show. So, and I'm going to echo what Ron and Marcus just said. If your weather's great, go out there and fly your drone. I mean, that's I can't say anything but that. And also, the drone you got, the best drone that you have is the one you already have. Okay, there's never been any question about that in my mind. There's some great deals coming up, so be on the lookout for them. DJI sale, I think, starts December 13th, so be on the lookout for that. It's very similar to, it's pretty much like the Black Friday sale. So, and I'm sure look at places like Adorama, B&H Photo, Amazon, Best Buy, get out there, look, there's going to be deals. Get yourself, if you've been itching to get something or upgrade or something, don't hesitate if you got the money. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank my outstanding co-host tonight. Really, really happy that I'm feeling better. Okay. So with all that being said, as always, remember, it's a great day to fly. Hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll see you next week.